Student, today we will discuss about the chapter 6, that is the age of the Guptas. When you will see the sources, we will discuss about the account of Fahin, Allahabad pillar inscription, political history and administration of the Samudragupta, Chandragupta and Vikramaditya. So in this video, I will try to cover the Allahabad pillar somewhat. Let us see how far we can go for. But I would like to start with the Gupta period, which was very much flourished, and it's known as a classical age, the golden age. Why? Because during this period there was a lots of progress made, particularly in the education, science, culture and etc. When you will go to the period, that was the time early 4th century AD, that was around 300 plus, which moved forward, and there was a lots of development during that period. When you come to the sources of the Gupta Empire, the main source of information we get from the account of Fahin. Fahin, as we have discussed earlier, he was a traveler who came to India during the Chandragupta II reign. When the Chandragupta II was ruling in India, that time Fahin came as a pilgrim. So he was a Chinese pilgrim, and whatever he has seen, by unbiased way, he has written that account. Whichever city he has gone, that all illustration he has written down. That is known as the account. So he went on a pilgrimage to Mathura, Kannauj, Kapilvastu, Kushinagar, Vaishali, Patliputra, Kashi and Rajgara. So these are the places where he has been, and whatever he has observed and that he has written down. So we will slowly we will try to discuss about all those points which he has mentioned, what he has seen and what he has written down. So according to him, Magad was a prosperous country with a large town teeming with wealthy population. So regarding the Magad, he has very much confirmed that it was a big and a big kingdom which was very much prosperous and having the large town, and population was thick. That means the population can only be thick when there is everything, every facility is provided. So this is what given there. Then the number 2, Patliputra was a flourishing city with a numerous charitable institution including hospital endowed by benevolent citizens. So Patliputra, secondly, he has mentioned about the city which was known as a Patliputra, now known as a Patna. So that was a very much flourishing good city having the hospital and other facility for the people. Number 3, you will see, although the people were wealthy, they led simple life, generally observing the Buddhist rule of conduct. So the people were having the wealth, but they had a very simple way of living and following the culture of Buddhism. Apart from Buddhism, when you will see the number 4th point, there is other religion mentioned. The Fahin has mentioned about the other form of people believe, that is Vaishnavism, Shaivism, Buddhism, Jainism were also the main religion apart from Buddhism. People, however, had no ill will towards. So whatever the religion, suppose the people who having the belief with the Lord Vishnu, so they had nothing regret with the people who have a belief for the Shiva or the Buddhism. So they had respect for each other religion. The next point deals with the Hindu god and goddesses were depicted on the coins and also in the sculptures and paintings. So here there is also one important point. So these gods were mentioned, they were carved out on the coins and other things. So the penal code was mild and the offences were ordinarily punished by the fines only. One thing I would like to explain you, that whatever the crime was there, but the punishment was very mild, not very much very strict one to be hanged or something like that. So it was the person who have done something wrong was fined in the form of money. From the above account, it can be inferred that the Gupta Empire was a prosperous and governed on an enlightened principle. So these are all the features Fahin we come to know from the Fahin account. When you come to the second source of information, that is your Allahabad pillar inscription. So it deals about all those things. You just see to it. Allahabad pillar is also known as the Prayag Prasasti. It is one of the important epigraphic evidences. So epigraphic, to which the scientifically it has been researched. What does it mean? The written account on the things which is engraved on the pillar of the imperial Guptas, composed by Harisena, the court poet of Samudragupta. So one thing you need to know, this pillar was whatever is written, it was composed by Harisena, and Harisena was a court poet of your Samudragupta. And the things which is written on this pillar, that is for the praise of Samudragupta. So in praise of his loving king, the things were written down. You just see, this is what here given about the Allahabad pillar. It is one of the epigraphic evidence of the imperial Gupta. So royal, when the kingdom was being ruled, so it was a matter of a, you can say as a royal, just a kind of a decree as Ashokan edict was it. So was this Allahabad pillar. It was composed by Harisena. So whatever the things are written over there, it was composed by Harisena, the court poet of Samudragupta, in praise of Samudragupta on his beloved, for his beloved king. This was composed. This was written in praise of Samudragupta, the most powerful king during the Gupta Empire. So this is what about Allahabad pillar it is. Now when you will go to the paragraph, you will find out the basic features of Allahabad pillar. It describes about the Gupta king period in ancient India. So whatever is given there, we come to know about the names of the Gupta king, what type of a Gupta kings were ruling, and what period, what time duration they ruled over the ancient India. So this important information we get from here. The second is that there is a list of king and tribal republic who were defeated by Samudragupta and were conquered. So apart from that, we also get the listing of those kings who were being defeated by Samudragupta, and also not only the king but the tribal groups also who were very independent. So that was also defeated by the Samudragupta. So the listing is given there in the Allahabad pillar. Third is also, it also describes the geographical feature and political background as what type of king ruled and about the people living in India during 300 to 350 AD. So that was the early period, the first half of the 4th century. So what type of a area and what type of a king, their political background, how it was being ruled, and everything was is mentioned here in this Allahabad pillar. We come to know from all those accounts that what were the features of the Gupta rulers and how the king used to rule. This is what main thing that you will come to know from this paragraph about the Allahabad pillar. Then the next, this is what given here about the praise for the Samudragupta. When you will read through, it is all the good words written for the Samudragupta, and written by whom? This is what Harisena. The history of the first two ruler of the Gupta dynasty, the one who has the founder of the Gupta empire, that is the Sri Gupta, and his son Ghatotkacha is obscure. So that is not very much given importance. Later on, you will see about the Chandragupta and the Samudragupta. So this is what here. So it is believed that Gupta era is originated with the reign of the Chandragupta one. So basically you will come to know about the Chandragupta one and what type of a ruler he was. So this is what here given here. Chandragupta one was the first independent king with the title of Maharaja Dhiraj, or the king of king. So why we are giving the king of kings? As he was a leader of the king, that means among all the king he was a super or must be a very much a conqueror. So he was known as a Maharaja Dhiraj after declaring his independence in Magad. So in the Magad he declared the independence and he was known as Maharaja Dhiraj. Chandragupta I extended his empire through matrimonial alliance by marrying a Lichavi princess Kumara Devi. So he increased his empire by having the matrimonial alliances. So do you understand the matrimonial alliances, which means they marry to the other kingdom. So when they marry the princes of the other kingdom, their kingdom also become the part of the big empire. So this is what here Chandragupta period, he has maximum area increased by the matrimonial alliances. So these are the just short notes which you will come to know that Chandragupta was the first independent king and he got the title of Maharaja Dhiraj, or the king of kings. When he declared independence in Magad, he extended his empire through the matrimonial alliance by marrying whom? The Kumara Devi, the Lichavi princess.